the first time I ever really looked within myself and saw something. I keep my eyes on this mysterious joy because I didn't want it to get away. I think she meant I kept. This book is full of typos. Thus, I watched intently as it gradually receded and became quiet, but visible, a quiet but visible place within myself. I had recognized the leap, and now I recognized its place within, the same place where the first experience had burst forth. Though I might not know what this power was, at least I knew where it was, and from then on I could look at it, see it whenever I looked into myself. I might add, though, what I experienced was comparable to laughter, yet, like the air in the balloon, it was a mystery. What I experienced was not air and not laughter. I did not know what it was, only that it was. And then she finally gets called down to dinner. I think the rest of them are halfway through. And she starts chatting and talking like nothing had happened. And then she says to her mom, "Remember, you're always telling me that if I'm not nice, nobody will like me?" "Yes," she replied. "Well, I just found out that God likes me even when I'm not nice," referring to the joy I experienced despite having been ostracized. Mom was speechless. From this time on, I looked upon life as a game that could not be taken seriously. It was as if this power said to me, "If I don't care, why should you?" Later, I would look back and realize that everything of importance I really knew about life and how to live it, I learned from this power. It taught me everything I ever needed to know. So she got in the habit of looking within and asking this power, "Are you there?" Kind of doubting. So she one time she was playing hide and seek, and she found a great spot in the middle of 3 garbage cans, and she was bored because no one was finding her because it was such a good spot, and so she looked within and said, "Are you there?" But this time there was no response. For a moment I froze with anxiety. My friend was gone. Then I thought perhaps it had not heard me, so I closed my eyes, gazed intently within, and urgently asked, "Are you there?" The response I got was rather explosive, like a hard punch in the stomach. I was knocked off balance and sent sprawling amid the garbage cans. Hearing the noise of the cans, I was instantly caught. But for me, the game was over. I had to go down to the beach and think this over. The power's blow had been no laughing matter. It had meant business. I took it for a reprimand or warning of a kind. One time, she realized she was playing with cars and trucks on the beach with their friends, building bridges and tunnels, and realized she needed a dump truck. So she went to her sister's piggy bank, thinking, "I'm definitely going to pay her back as soon as my parents get back from their vacation." And she stole the money from her older sister's piggy bank. And she got in big trouble for this, and her brother Lee was saying, "You're going to hell, you've offended God, you've sinned." And she blurted out, "How can I offend God when I don't know him?" I don't remember anything else that was said because a light went on in my head, which meant I had come upon something true, something I needed to understand. So I left the scene and went off to think about it. So she calls this the truth sensor in her. A light kind of goes off in her head when she blurts out something true. One time, I think I mentioned in a previous video, she was on the boat going to Catalina Island, floating like a cork in the sea, when suddenly her older brother thrust a hot dog through the porthole nearby. And this is her recollection of that. It was as if I had suddenly been pulled from a heavenly state and dropped into a crude world. It took some time to reorient myself. This experience was an eye-opener. Now I knew there was another dimension of existence. another dimension of life, a dimension so close you had only to sink into it. I knew, however, it would be impossible to live in this state and in the world at the same time, for despite their closeness, one precluded the other. In a way, they were worlds apart. So this is what she's learning about these two dimensions of existence. Altogether, this experience was a huge awakening. Its relevance in my life was knowing this other dimension existed. Always it was before me as another possibility of life, a whole different existence. I was convinced this dimension somehow underlay all creation, and that only human beings lived in this harsh world of practical living, reality as it is called. One time when she was 7, she heard some music from across the street of the church and climbed up on the wall and looked in through the window and saw some men chanting and was absolutely fascinated by the music. The next Sunday at Mass, singing our usual hymns, I was struck by the disparity between our church hymns and the music I'd heard at the synagogue. Our hymns had never uplifted me, while the music across the street had swept me up by its sound alone. Music actually did play a pretty important life in her spiritual life. One time she was at church and heard the priest giving a sermon about Jesus overturning the tables of the money changers in the temple, and she says to herself, probably because of the way the priest kind of acted it out and was booming voice, "Sweet Jesus, nothing," I realized I had been duped. So there and then I determined as soon as I got home to read the 4 Gospels front to back. And that she did at age 7, and this is how she felt upon encountering Jesus in the Gospels. Without question, he was a tough-minded, no-nonsense, forbidding human being. No, I did not care for him at all, and was glad I'd never known him or lived when he did. I would have kept my distance and never followed him. So everyone around her is saying how much they love Jesus, and she kind of feels different. She has this different understanding of him, and it's kind of a secret that she keeps to herself, but she's constantly questioning her beliefs. Without the Eucharist, I could never have been a Christian, since the historical personality of the man Jesus played no part in my life. But starting now, at age 7, I can't think of a single thing regarding my beliefs, practices, and religion I did not question. I must have been born a skeptic because I questioned everything, if not aloud, at least in my own mind. Just a few more quotes. This is another one of these extraordinary phenomena. Again, on the beach, standing on the shore, looking out to sea, I pleaded with it to give me some answers. This is the interior power. What should I do with my life? What would I become? I asked. What is it about you I love so much? No sooner were my questions out than there came a swift rush or leap from within, and a brilliant ball of light stood before my eyes, about a foot above my forehead. A light so brilliant I couldn't look at it directly. It identified itself as love, the word imprinted on my mind. Somehow I knew this ball of fire was the love I experienced for the sea. It was my connection to the sea, and it would be my life, my future. After that, it vanished. Sorry, she was asking the sea, what should I do with my life? What would I become? She wanted to become a sailor until her older brother rudely informed her that girls couldn't be sailors, and she felt as if the rug had been pulled out from under her. It was my connection to the sea, and it would be my life, my future. After that, it vanished. I looked inside to see if my friend was still there, because initially I thought it had leaped out of me and was itself the brilliant light.